Oh, okay.
I'll be right back.
I know, it's always good seeing you.
I feel like it's going to be around what we had today. One of them different things. Just
Probably. But yeah, that was just like a specific campaign that I had to get a certain amount to. It's okay. It's like a crowd something for publishers. So probably not.
your husband?
Yes. Like that part of it, figure out that's but it's all good. It's all happening. Or just another Say that again? Well, it was supposed to be like 250 to get through. And I went to 210. See if they can still submit it. Like they actually literally. And publishers looking at profiles. That's the whole, I think. Yeah, people say they're excited. Like to get publishers. It's not just self-funding. It's also to try to get the attention. They can, depending on the situation. Yeah, it's a great thing. Yeah. So as everyone gets settled in, I think I just sent around the purple clipboards. So just sign up on that. If you like social media, you can follow me. And here comes Alex with the library. We're good? Okay, thank you. So, I know that you just got settled in. I'm gonna ask you to stand up again. Sorry. So, Alex, can you close the door on the way out? I promise you'll be worth it, though. I promise you'll be worth it. So, everyone can just stand up. How many people have seen me speak before? I know there's a couple people. Oh, not everybody. Nice. Okay, so you guys know the deal. You know, it's worth it. Please stand up. So, Alex is gonna close the door. You got Facebook Live going on over there. So, if I look over you, then behind you is the camera. So, everybody close your eyes. Now let's take a nice deep breath. Okay, nice deep breath in. A big inhale, a big belly breath into your lungs, and then exhale it all out. Okay. And another big inhale. Out. Inhale. Out. And some regular breaths. And just let your whole day go. Just leave everything outside the room. Leave all the stresses of your job or your family or whatever titles you have in either of those capacities. And just leave it all outside the room. Just relax. Stretch your shoulders a little bit. Centered. Feel your feet on the ground. Breath. Relax, and when you're ready, slowly open your eyes. So much better, right? Promise you it's going to be worth it. So yeah, so like I always say at my talks, if you take nothing else away from today's session, it's to remember to breathe. Okay, because you see what that, just a few, like not even a minute maybe we did, just some deep breaths, some just checking in with yourself, getting centered in your body, feeling your feet on your ground, feet on the ground, and it really makes a huge difference. Because we're out there, we're running around, the world's a little crazy, we live in New York City, there's a million things vying for our attention, and you want to grasp control of your time, your energy, your thoughts, your feelings. So these are themes that I'm going to constantly be repeating throughout the evening. But it's really important that you do that. You check in with yourself. And so I start all my talks this way. I like to recommend that also every morning, the first thing that you do is spend about 15 minutes with yourself. If you can't do 15 minutes, do 10. If you can't do 10, do 5. Really important to just check in with yourself. And so you can maybe, while you're drinking your tea or your coffee, and maybe you have music, maybe you don't have music. If it's music, make it calm music with no lyrics, preferably. Maybe you have a prayer or a mantra, affirmation, just something to just, center yourself. Because, once you know that day starts, you're going to be going, and you're going to be pulled in 5 million different directions. So again, you want to be in control of your time and your energy. And so that's a good way to start the day. And then at the end of the day, after you've been out running around doing whatever you're doing, come back home and also just check in with yourself. So I personally, at the end of the day, like to lay flat on my back with my knees up. I tell you a lot of things that I just do them because they feel good and I didn't know that they work, and I've observed other people do them at work, and then I always find out there's some science behind it. So, but I don't need the science because I just know it works. But doing that has something to do with resetting your nervous system or something like that. So I like to do that, lay flat on your back with on the floor, not on the couch because then you'll probably fall asleep. With your knees up, and again, just like let the day go. Let the day go and recheck in with yourself. Take some breaths, right? Process, right? What happened? Just let the day process. Maybe that's some time for journaling. Maybe it's just being in nothingness, right? Because you just had such a busy day. So just give that gift to yourself. And so if you give yourself those 2 anchors to every day, so the morning anchor and the evening anchor, I'm telling you, that will, if you get nothing else from today, take that habit, if you can incorporate that, and your life will change. Your life will change because, again, we've got 5 million things vying for our attention. And so we don't even know what we're thinking and feeling half the time. Or if what we're thinking and feeling is our own thoughts and feelings, or are they somebody else's thoughts and feelings, whether it's someone in our vicinity or on social media or on the subway or whatever. But we need to be in our bodies, reclaim our time, reclaim our energy. I like to reclaim the time, I just put that in there. So, yeah, okay, so congratulations everyone for being here. Thank you for taking the time. You could be doing a million other things tonight. I don't know what's on. Alex was telling me about the Masked Singer, so I guess that's not on tonight. But I don't know what other crazy shows on tonight, or you could be out with friends. You could be snuggled home on your couch, but you guys decided to be here. And so I take that as a huge sign that you are ready to grow and that you're ready to be successful and however that means for you. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But yeah, just the physical fact that you got your butts in these chairs right now is like a huge sign. And it's like a huge honoring of yourself and of your desire to grow and your desire to be a better person and a desire to reach your full potential and a desire to feel more at peace and at harmony with yourself and with your work and with your life and with your relationships. And so I just, want to say, good for you guys, and congratulations. And because, again, like I said before, there's 1,000 million other things that you could be doing with your time and your energy right now. But you chose to use your time and energy to come here and to try to better yourself. And I hope to give you a few things to help you better yourself and grow. So, yeah, and so, let's see, what time of year? So it's February 28th. So we're not really in the dead of winter, and we're not quite at spring yet, right? So we're sort of this in-between kind of time, which I think is a good time to think about these things, because over the next couple of weeks, you can then sort of marinate on some of the concepts that I bring up and start developing some of these habits and incorporating them, and then in the spring, see what blossoms, right? So see what comes up in the spring, and by the spring, you'll be ready to sort of maybe do a little bit more external actions. But for now, we're going to talk the stuff that we talk about in terms of success. To me, it's all an inside job. Success is an inside job. So it's all, the inner reflects the outer. And so the things that we're going to talk about are just sort of ways of being. They're not like, you can go on like a Tony Robbins seminar, there's all sorts of like how to, make money, how to be successful, and all these other kinds of ways. But we're going to talk about some things, because I say it's stepping stones for success, right? So it's the foundation, it's the building blocks, which is to me an inner foundation, an inner structure, an alignment that you can solidify for yourself, so that then you can take external actions and create whatever external success you want. So sort of just give you a little bit of an idea of what that means for me. So yeah, and so change is bound, right? We can see the amount of change happening in our world every day. In every way, right? Whether it's government or different industries, economies, entertainment, geopolitical stuff, earth changes. I mean, and then the number one thing really that, is technology. And in the broadest sense of the word, this is what is completely transforming how we exist, how we live, how we relate to each other, how we work, how we purchase things, how we entertain ourselves, how we communicate. I mean, really, this is everything. So I don't know that we've completely fathomed, the full sort of magnitude of how this is changing us as human beings and as a society, therefore, in the world. So, how do you keep up with it? How do you navigate this? So what I like to talk about is, we really are living in these dynamic, transformative times, and there's no way you're going to try to figure out what's happening or what's next necessarily. And things are happening so quickly. The only thing that you can do is have security and stability in and of yourself, right? So if you can create that stability in and of yourself, then you can kind of navigate and surf with all the changes that are happening around us. Because there's going to be more and more and more. And, I think probably Xanax prescriptions are probably up, and, there's lots of ways that people can cope with the change and the uncertainty and the unknown. It does bring up a lot of anxiety. But then there are sort of healthier ways to do it. And by healthier, I mean healthier in mind, body, and spirit, right? In terms of strengthening your inner self to be able to handle whatever comes your way, and however you need to navigate and negotiate, all the different changes that are happening. So again, the way that I think about success is creating this inner foundation for yourself in terms of how you relate to yourself, how you connect to yourself, how you relate and connect to your work and to other people and to your physical body as well. So that's kind of how we're going to be talking about it. And, I wrote this sentence. be your own person. Know when to go with the grain and when to take a stand and go against it, even if it's just reclaiming your own sanity when the world is losing theirs. So, yeah. So these are just some of my suggestions about how to do that, and they're timeless. They're nothing new necessarily. They can be common sense, but I think it's just always good to remind ourselves of these things and to kind of distill them down in a certain way and have them sort of delineated for us. So I have 9. Okay, so I have 9 stepping stones. Yeah, and again, they're stones because stones are tangible and they're this solid foundation, right? And it's there is something stable about them in the midst of quicksand or getting you across a tumultuous river. So anyway, so here we go. Let's see. Number 1. And see, we have a fairly small group, so feel free to chime in or share if you need to. So let's see. Number 1 is Bill. Is this right? Is that right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Take responsibility. Why is this number 1? Because you're responsible for your own life and your own happiness and your own success. Yeah. No one can do it for you. I know we like to think we can blame it on the economy, we can blame it on the president, we can blame it on our mother, we can blame it on our husband. We can blame a lot of people for a lot of things, but that doesn't do anybody any good. And quite frankly, that disempowers you, right? And we want to empower you. And so you have much more power and control over your life than you think you do. But that means then you have to take responsibility for the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? And then not a lot of people want to do that, right? So we'd rather just take a pill for something, or we'd rather go play a video game, or we'd rather just be in denial, or wait for some prince on a horse to come fix it for us, right? There's lots of different things that we trick our, like that one, huh? So we, that we can, manipulate ourselves with thinking that we don't have to do anything to really change our situation. So, so if you're complaining, that means that you can change, that you can change it. So if there's something wrong, there's really no excuse. And I know that sounds harsh sometimes for people about, taking responsibility for your own happiness, your own success, your own prosperity. But, again, it's about being empowered to do that. So whatever situation you find yourself in now, wherever you feel like you're lacking or not succeeding or feeling stuck or anything like that, the good news is that you can get yourself out of it, right? So when you're blaming someone else, that means that you have no power to change because you just gave the power to somebody else. But if you take ownership and responsibility for everything that you've done and experienced and all of these things, it's not to say that bad things haven't happened to you necessarily, but it's how can you grow and learn from those things. So I'm going to talk about that in one of the other steps. But it's about being the captain of your own ship. It's about being the director of your own movie, right? It's like you've gotta commit to your own excellence in your own journey, and also, it's defining for yourself what is your version of success, what is your version of happiness, because that's going to look different for everyone, quite frankly. So don't pay attention to the commercials that tell you what success is, or what celebrity tells you success is. For you, what is your definition of success? Maybe you're an artist, and your definition of success would be having an exhibition, whether you make your living off it or not. Or maybe your definition is being an artist and making a living off it. Maybe your definition is having a certain title in a company, because that means that you worked really hard and that you've gained the trust and respect of the people that are working for you. Maybe it's your definition is to have, you know, a family and to have kids and to have a really healthy family, a healthy dynamic, because maybe you didn't have one growing up, so you want to sort of change that, right? So that could be your definition of success. You know, you have to really think about, like, what is that for you? And then you can make your decisions based on that, not based on what somebody else tells you success is. Because we have lots of influences. Remember, our parents tell us what they think success is for us. I like to give the example, so those of you who have heard me speak before, my parents' version, their idea of success for me, their idea of success for me is to marry a nice Jewish doctor. And I'm not even Jewish, by the way. And I'm not kidding, okay? That was, in their mind, what would, you know, make me the happiest, and they would feel like I was successful if I married a nice Jewish doctor. I grew up in Long Island, so, you know, I'd have the house in Long Island with a nice Jewish doctor and the kids, and that was their idea of success for me. Couldn't be farther from the truth of how I lived my life, or what my desire was, even. So you need to know for yourself, like, well, what is success, right? And, you know, and is that really your idea, or is it because you've been, like, you know, inundated with messages from parents, friends, culture? You know, what is it for you? And it could be radically different than what you were sort of taught or grown up with. It really could be. So, you know, but if you can take responsibility for that, then you have your own sort of North Star to work towards. Yeah, so, and the other thing about taking responsibility is, look, like I said, you know, bad things happen to us, or, you know, we get ourselves into situations, or things happen. And so, no, we can't control everything, right? We can't control circumstances and events, but you can control how you respond to them. Like, that's what you can control. So you can choose to be a troublemaker, or you can choose to be a peacemaker, right? You can choose to be a victim, or you can choose to be a warrior and stand up for yourself. And you can choose to look at any situation in a way where it's teaching you something, not where it's hurting you or harming you or bringing you down. It's like, okay, yeah, that might be the case, but what is it that you're really supposed to learn from this situation? What is this, or is this something that is a repeating thing? We'll talk about that. And is it like a pattern and I need to be like waking up? You know, it just gets worse and worse and worse until I get it. So again, that's putting the power back in your hands. You can choose how to respond to a situation. You can choose to stay, or you can choose to leave. You can choose to engage or not engage. Right? You can choose to argue or not argue. You can choose to laugh or cry. You know? So you have that power. You have that power to do that. But again, you have to take that responsibility. You can't just be like, oh, this is happening to me, right? And giving away all your power and being a victim. And also, like, you know, remember that your success, you know, is other success. So what I talk about in my other talk, who are you, what are you supposed to be doing with your life? Part of taking responsibility, it's like, okay, it's taking responsibility for your own individual happiness and your own life, but it's taking responsibility for the well-being of this planet, of humanity. Nothing short of that, okay? We all have the responsibility to make our lives the most peaceful, harmonious, centered, healthy, mind, body, and spirit as we can be. Because it really is the cliche of let peace begin with me. We are very powerful. Think about it. Think about what we bring to a room. Think about everybody has their own sphere of influence, I like to say. So you have family, you have friends, you have a workplace. Think about the energy that you bring to into a room. Or think about, maybe it's easier to think about somebody else's energy, right? If you have someone who's like this toxic, negative person, right, and they come into the room or the space or the event, how does that feel? You feel it though, right? You can tell when someone's bringing some negativity and when someone's sort of like toxic or not happy, right? You feel that. And also think about when you're in a situation where someone's like zippity-doo-dah, they're so happy and they just have a lot of energy and they love themselves and they love their life and they bring that energy to wherever you're at, to the room, the situation, the dinner, the meeting. Think about that. You feel it, right? We're pretty powerful. You know what I mean? Because as humans, we're social creatures. We're social creatures. We're contagious. We're emotional beings. We're made up of like energies and quantum atoms and things like that. I don't know science, but I know it works. So we're contagious. So be responsible for the energy that you're bringing to the room, to the situation, to the person, to the relationship. Take responsibility. Because think about it, if we all took responsibility, how much more pleasant would your subway ride be? How much more pleasant, God, we wouldn't have this craziness that's in our country right now. Right? We wouldn't have as many divorces. We wouldn't have crime as much as we do. Everyone took responsibility for their own happiness, their inner peace, their well-being in mind, body, and spirit. Didn't blame other people, didn't scapegoat other people, right? Didn't make themselves victims, instead empower themselves without having to be overbearing and make someone else a victim in order to feel powerful. That's not what I'm talking about, okay? But it's, we have that power. We have to take that responsibility. And also just the responsibility of working hard, of having the, making a commitment to yourself. I've been coaching now for about 11 years, over 11 years now. And, the biggest shift that has to happen is you have to make a commitment to yourself to want to grow and change, to be better. However, and guess what? It doesn't happen overnight. So I have a lot of impatient clients, that I have to be like, look, you've been like this for 38 years, it's not going to change overnight. It's like a muscle that you develop, right? It's like I always like to say, the acorn doesn't become the oak tree overnight. Think about it. Think about what has to happen for that acorn to become an oak tree. And all the different phases and things that go into that, and the different forms it takes along the way, and how long that journey is. It's a process. So it's taking responsibility to understand that there's hard work, there's patience, there's persistence, right? It's a process. It's a process. And it's perseverance over a long time. And I love Lady Gaga's little speech the other day, right? You guys all saw that? Where she's like, this was hard work. Like, this took hard work. It doesn't just, there's no such thing. Like, I know a lot of these things are cliches and things that you've heard, but we need to be reminded, right? There's no such thing as overnight success. It just doesn't happen. And, especially our younger generation, I feel like, doesn't get that. Because they're just used to, especially doesn't get that, right? Because they've been used to instant everything. But that's not how things work, right? Beyonce, I'm sorry, did not come out of the womb like that. I mean, obviously she had a lot of talent in her. But, she was dancing in heels in her backyard at 9 years old. Every day. So by the time she was 19, she was pretty good. And now she's, crazy. So, it's practice, it's perseverance, it's a commitment to yourself, it's working hard. It's like, these are just old-fashioned concepts that are timeless because they're true. However you want to label them or look at them or categorize them, this is just life. And I think, again, because of technology and this vying for our time and attention and social media addiction to social media, Like, we just forget. We just see everyone's having these wonderful lives, you know, these crazy great lives, or celebrate, you know, and we forget. We forget that there was a lot of work, a lot of suffering, a lot of failure, right? A lot of consistent effort over a period of time. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. I mean, the only way around it is that if you put in the time, you went to sleep, and then you woke up, and all of a sudden something happened. But it's not because you didn't do, you know, put in the time. You did. It was sort of like, you know, saved up in a bank account, kind of. And then all of a sudden you get to cash in. But it had to have happened at some point. No way around it. So take responsibility. Gotta start with that. Okay. Everything else kind of flows from there. Questions, comments about that one? You know, I feel I'm very school marmish today. Sorry about that. Because I think it's serious. We're living in kind of serious times. This is like no joke right now. So yeah, I do a talk called "Who Are You?" and what you're supposed to be doing with your life. Like, this is really the key to everything, right? So once you decide you have the power to change your life, then you're like, okay, well, who am I? Like, I gotta even figure out. I gotta start there. Who am I? What do I want to do? What do I want this life to be? So it's knowing yourself, and you know, like I said before, we have so many different influences from so many different, you know, our family, our culture, our geographical location, our gender, our race, our religion, like all these things that kind of tell us who we are. But are we that? You know, what parts of you really feel genuine authentically? I mean, those are all sort of labels and clothes that we put on ourselves anyway. I mean, there's layers of this, right? So ultimately, your energy or soul, you know, if you want to go to that route. But it's just in terms of identity, right? In terms of our personality, like, who are you really? You know, what, you know, when you were growing up, and there's a lot of information that you can get, and this is sort of my whole other talk for those who were there last month. But, you know, just think about, what did you do naturally as a child? Like, how did you play? Well, you know, when you were like 8 or 9, what was like the thing that you just did naturally? I just had a client yesterday, she's like, I used to be a waitress and I called myself Judy. She's like, I don't know what that was. So, and after, you know, talking for a while, it turns out she loves baking. She was doing digital marketing at the time. But she actually, not only does she love baking, but she's like, oh yeah, I made this cool shark thing and I brought it into work, and they were just like, oh my God. And she's like, can I just follow a recipe? But they're like, no, like, I follow a recipe that doesn't taste this good, you know? So I said, well, that's kind of interesting. Did you ever think of having your own business? Yeah, I have, but I want to know what. I'm like, well, is everything maybe having a cafe, or like, because you did say you wanted to be a waitress called Judy growing up. So, you know, now, is she going to go out and start her own bakery tomorrow? No, but there's information there. There's a clue there. You know, there's you know, I also like to give the example of, you know, there was a brother and sister that I knew. The sister used to love to write stories, and the brother used to act out the stories that she wrote. And now they are an award-winning young adult author and a working actor, like, who's done real things, you know. Like, that's pretty specific. So in terms of, like, what you want to do, but also just, like, what do you like? Like, this is the thing that I like to recommend to people, is to date themselves. So what do I mean by that? If you want to get to know someone, you spend time with them. You spend quality time with them. You don't watch Game of Thrones on the couch, drinking, you know, bottles of wine and eating bonbons. Like, we need to do that sometimes, but go to the movies by yourself. You get to pick the movie. You get to think about the movie on your own. Go to have dinner with yourself. Go to lunch with yourself. Spend, you know, now the weather hopefully will be getting nicer. Spend some time with yourself in the park. What do I like to do? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? Another thing really important is to journal. And journaling means a pen and actual paper. It doesn't mean this, okay, or this. It's this. This becomes sort of like your confidant and your best friend, and there's no judgment, and there's no right or wrong way of journaling. People who are very left brain. And a client, when she went to MIT, she's like, but how do I know if I'm doing it right? I'm like, there is no right way. You're just talking to yourself. You're just processing, thinking. No one's going to be reading this thing. And it's a way to connect with yourself on a deeper level and find out, again, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? You know, what are some things that I want to do, or how, you know, whatever you need to process. But it's just, you know, knowing obviously your strengths and your weaknesses, just knowing your personality, because you want to be able to optimize the things that are good and minimize the things that are not so good, or especially when you're looking for work. You know, if you're trying to find, how many people here are in career transition? Okay, so I can speak a lot to this. So chances are the opportunity that you had prior to this one, you probably weren't supposed to be there in the first place. You probably just ended up there somehow. You probably needed to make a change all along, whether, you know, for whatever reason, and you were too scared, too lazy, too comfortable to make the change on your own. So eventually, rubber's got to hit the road. The universe is going to be like, yeah, time to change. You can do it on your own, so now I got to kick you in the butt a bit. Right? And so since most of you, the Facebook people over there, most everyone here raised their hand, and so I want you to think about this as an opportunity. It's an opportunity to change the things you have been needing to change all along for a while. So this is a great thing. This is a great time to put like a whole reset button on your life. And to really think about like, I've been doing sales all the time, but I hate people. Or, you know, I'm like a chatty Cathy, I'm like so social, but my job is like by myself in a room doing data entry. That doesn't make any sense. So you want to, you want to make sure that you're aligned as closely as possible with your talents, your skills, your abilities, your disposition, the kind of environment you like. Do you like a quiet and, you know, introverted kind of environment? Do you like to be around lots of people and working with a team? You know, what's the essence of sort of like who are, you know, what do you like? What's the vibe that you want to be around? Where do you thrive? Where do you feel like you're expanding versus contracting? You know, what gets you jazzed up? What bores you to tears? You know? When do you lose track of time? When do you lose track of time? What would you do even if someone wasn't paying you? I remember one of the things that I've done in my past is, I founded a nonprofit organization called the Women's Mosaic, and I kind of created it because I couldn't find one that I couldn't find any place where I wanted to work, so I created it. Right? Combine all of my interests, talents, skills, and abilities, and passions, and things like that. I just lost my train of thought. So with Women's Mosaic. So after, so I produced over 100 events over 10 years, I think. And I remember maybe like, I don't know, year three or four, something like that in there, after like doing a whole bunch of events and creating these experiences for diverse women to come together, learn about different cultures, and we had speakers and food, and I had to schlep a lot of stuff, right? Because it was always somewhere, like at a restaurant or somewhere, and I got to bring all the materials and whatever else, and so it was, we live in New York, so you got to schlep. And I just remember one day saying, like, I just stopped myself and I was like, okay, like if I had $1 million, because I was trying to start a nonprofit, I did not have $1 million, okay? If I had $1 million, what would I be doing right now? And I thought, this is exactly what I would be doing. You understand? It didn't make a difference. Maybe I'd have nicer clothes, maybe I'd have a nicer apartment, maybe I'd have car service to shuffle me around with the but I'd still have to somehow get the stuff to this event that I put together to create this experience for these women. Like, I would still be doing that. Whether or not I had $1 million and was getting paid for it or not. That's still how I chose to use my time and energy. So what would you be doing whether you got paid or not? Yeah, so it's really about understanding yourself. What makes you tick? You know, what makes you tick? And it's so important to do it because what you might discover, like I said before, is that the things that make you you are kind of different than who you thought you are, or who your family thinks you are, or who your best friend thinks you are. And then you have to sort of have the courage to start being that person. That might be kind of different than how you've been all this time. And that can be a little scary. But at that point, you have no choice because you can't go back. Right? And so it's about having the courage to know who you are and then accept who you are. And then beyond the accepting who you are, really loving who you are. And through the loving who you are, that's what gives you the courage. Because courage, right? Courage has the root core, which is heart. So having the courage to be who you are. It's not a small thing. It's not a small thing. So, yeah, and you know, it's about not you know, don't never pretend to be something that you're not. You know, I do a talk called authentic branding, how letting your real self, letting your real self shine in any situation. And you know, I used to teach for NYU at one point, like a long time ago. And it's basically because the owner of the company that I was working at, he didn't want to do it anymore. He's like, oh, you do it. And I was like, me teach, you know? And I was young. And he's like, yeah, you can do it. So I did it. I taught adults. Everybody was older than me in the class because it was an adult, you know, certificate thing. But then they asked me to teach undergrad. And I was like, wait, what? I'm going to teach undergrad? I'm going to teach a required course for kids at NYU? I'm like, oh, yeah, you'll be fine. So I was like, okay, what did they call me? Oh, you're a professor. And I was like, okay, I just have like my little bachelor's degree, and not little, I shouldn't say that, but I have a bachelor's degree, and you know, oh my God, you know, I had this concept of what a professor should be, you know, what that was supposed to be. That was not me. So I had to like wrestle with that, and like, you know, it made me very comfortable because I just thought, oh, I'm supposed to be a professor and like act a certain way and be a certain way, whatever. It was terrible. And as soon as I said, you know what, forget it. I'm just gonna be me. I'm like, you know, 20 something and do whatever I think is right. And I'm like, oh, it was so much easier. It was so much easier just to be myself. And P.S. I was much more effective. Because you are who you are for a reason. All the different combinations of characteristics that you are makes you you, and you're completely unique, and that's kind of crazy when you think about it. And the other thing that I like to talk about, like in my other talk, is, you know, look, we all have a job to do. That only you can do it, because only you have that combination of characteristics, experience, skill set, you know, communication skill. Like, only you can do that. It's kind of crazy. And you know, and the other thing that I like to talk about too is, you know, what are the things that come naturally to you that are like breathing? So for me, that's like for my coaching, it's like listening and relating to people from different backgrounds. Like that to me is, I don't even think twice about it. So I didn't even think it was something special until I started realizing not everyone can do that. So what's the thing that's like breathing to you? That you don't even think is special, but when you really think about it and think about people in your life or people that you observe, like, actually not everyone can do this thing that I do. Or it doesn't come as easy for people as it does maybe for me. And then the other thing, you know, my other example is like, and also, what's the thing that scares the bejesus out of you? Like, what's the thing that really scares you? Because there's also information there. And that's an area of growth and development. So for me, the fact that I'm up here speaking in front of all you people is bonkers to me. But, you know, in case you didn't notice, I'm a little tall, right? And all I ever wanted to do in my life was hide, like in the back. Like, so I'd like to direct and choreograph, so I'd like be in the back, and other people would be performing and acting out, doing the things that I direct them and tell them to do, okay? So the fact that physically it's kind of hard for me to blend in and hide, there's something to that I needed to learn and to understand and to grow and to step into myself, and then to be able to speak in front of people, which I know is a big fear for a lot of people. And for me, you know, and I am an introvert, which I know people don't believe. I've developed my extrovert side, but you know, to stand up in front of people. I mean, I used to get stiff necks. I used to get coughing fits. It was terrible. But every time I got up and talked about whatever, I can't do presentations. I'm only presenting my own material. You know, people would always have a really positive response. And so I couldn't ignore that. So even though it was uncomfortable for me to sort of put myself in those situations, the response and the benefit seemed to be so great. And so I kept doing it. And so obviously now I'm more comfortable. It's still not the most comfortable thing for me to be. But I'm more comfortable. Because I just kept doing it because I thought, oh, well, I'm doing something here that people are benefiting from. And it was good for my own growth and self-worth of like, maybe I have something to say, you know, maybe I can be articulate, you know, maybe it's okay if people see me messing up or, you know, whatever, it's okay. So just, you know, all of these things to think about for yourself, you know, what are the things, where are the areas that are natural that you can sort of maximize, and where are the things that, you know, cause you some but you know, like it would be good for you to sort of go there and explore it. Oh yeah, and then I just have this great quote from Deepak Chopra about Las Vegas, which is so great. So he was on Conan O'Brien one night, Deepak Chopra, you guys all know Deepak, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be interesting, and I was like, oh, you just, you know, we're in Las Vegas, wow, like that's weird, you know, Deepak in Las Vegas, and dead serious, Deepak's like, oh, wonderful, terrible Deepak accent, but, and Conan's like, haha, that's really funny, Dad. He goes, oh no, he goes, Las Vegas? It's the most spiritual place on the planet. And Conan's like, ha ha ha. He goes, no. He goes, it does not pretend to be anything it is not. I was like, ooh. So now, think about that. It does not pretend to be anything that it's not. The most spiritual place on the planet. Good stuff. All right, we've got 9 things. I'm only on 2. All right, this is always what happens. I'll like ramble. Okay, so 3. Oh yeah. What do I mean by that? Don't compare. Comparison is the thief of joy. So you Comparison is the thief of joy. Pay attention. And this is something recently that I've been doing with myself. Because I mean, I knew this, but I've been catching myself a little bit more often. You know, especially, you know, people who are in similar fields, right? You know, because you're only going to get jealous or envious with the people that are doing things that you want to do or that you're connected. If it's something that's like completely unrelated to what you're interested in, you don't care. You're not going to like feel envious or feel bad about yourself because you're not doing X, Y, Z, because it's like that's not your area. Who cares? So yeah, you can't. It's like, you know, we all have our own path. Like I said, we're all, like, stay in your movie. Your movie is your movie. That's it. So just stay in your movie. You're at whatever plot point in your movie, and someone else is at a different plot point in their movie. And you don't know what has happened to them for them to get to that plot point of blood, sweat, and tears? You have no idea. And also by other people accomplishing things, great, that means we can accomplish them too. But it's really about, this is where I'm at, and you want to compare yourself to your yesterday, not someone else's today. Compare yourself to your yesterday, not someone else's today. Only you know how far you've come. So, I mean, for me, and I'm talking about me, but I guess this is an example I can illustrate. You know, I've been doing this. I've been doing talks here since 2010. So this is my 9th year of doing talks here, several times a year. I've been coaching for over 11 years. I've done all this other stuff. I was terrified to put anything on YouTube, right? Or videotape myself or anything like this. It only last year, I think only 2 years ago did I put a Facebook page up and Instagram, and I just put some, like last year, a bunch of YouTube videos up. Now, anybody else, I mean, you know there's people that are like vomiting on YouTube, you know, or like plastering themselves over social media. I can't compare myself to that. That doesn't make any sense, right? Because I know what my issues and my insecurities and, you know, where I've been, that the fact that I have like 30 videos on YouTube, I'll subscribe to my channel, by the way, you know, oh my God, like that's a huge deal for me. And it might like look like piddly squat to everybody else. But I know for me it was a big deal. So again, like you can only do what you can do where you're at, what your circumstances are that's brought you wherever you're at, and it just serves absolutely no purpose looking at anybody else's life. And not only that, but it's not only does it not serve a purpose, but it's really negative. And this is what I've been noticing lately about myself. Is that as soon as I sort of get into that space where comparing or saying, oh, I should be doing this, it's like your energy changes. It's toxic. It's toxic. So I encourage you all to do this. When you're looking at other people that make you feel bad, first of all, notice that you're feeling bad, okay? It's important to notice that. Have the self-awareness to see how you're reacting to something. And if you're feeling bad about it, see if it's a comparison thing. And if it is, shut it down. So I've been yelling at myself lately, actually. You know, I've just been saying like no, or like I will just like pass by it or not look at it, but I'll catch myself, in other words, before sort of going into some spiral, you know, of feeling of inadequacy or failure or whatever, you know, these things that can tumble right into these places. So like you gotta like cut it off. And I've had to be, this is a very new thing for me, this is like the past couple months. Like really like, it's gotta be sharp like, no. This is very easy for yourself to go, especially if that's been a pattern, right? Or if that's been a habit. So anyway, so it's really, really important. Stay in your own lane. Oh yeah, this is a great quote from the Bhagavad Gita. It says that it's better to live your own destiny imperfectly than to live in imitation of somebody else's life with perfection. It's better to live your own destiny imperfectly than to live in imitation of somebody else's life with perfection. It is really good. We all have our own, you know, traumas, issues, accomplishments, goals. Like, we have our own combination of things. And again, just like the definition of prosperity and success and happiness that's going to look different for everyone, you know, our journey, therefore, is just going to be different. It's going to look different. And we're going to be at different places along the way. And so it serves no purpose whatsoever to compare, and it actually is detrimental. So I really encourage you to pay attention to yourself. And in general, to, you know, now that, you know, I've sort of put a refresh button on you guys, I want you to, like, as you go through your life and your day, to really try to start observing yourself. Observing yourself. What's going on? How are you responding to this? Oh, look at me. I'm responding in this way. Can I change that? Is that good? No, I gotta, you know, change that. So it's it's just an interesting way to start approaching your life, because that to me is a way to change some behavior. When you notice the behavior first, but you have to notice the behavior, right? So yeah, so that's that. Questions, comments? I know, I'm giving you guys lots of stuff there. All right, so 4. So listen to yourself. So I've talked a little bit about this so far. But this is also one of the most important things. So, and it's kind of a little bit of what I was talking about with exerting yourself. But listening to yourself, like I talked about at the beginning of the class, those 2 anchors, right? So in the morning and the evening, it's a check-in with yourself, so that you can listen to your own thoughts, feelings, emotions, what's your body telling you, anything. And it's you know, those of you who've seen me speak before, I say this all the time. Like, most people walk around emotionally constipated. Okay? And this is what really hurts us, and it prevents us from listening to ourselves. Mentally constipated too, but I find it's more emotionally constipated. Okay? Usually mentally it's like just analysis paralysis, right? So you're sort of like on this kind. But if you're not allowing yourself to feel your feelings and to process things as they come up, you got all these clogs and blockages going on. So it makes it hard for you to listen to yourself, because you're kind of blocked up with all this old stuff. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So you want to, again, you know, just, it's okay to cry. You know, sometimes I'll talk to my class, I was like, when was the last time you cried? Like, really cried, you know, not just watching a movie, but like cried for yourself because you were going through something, you know, anything. And sometimes people can't even remember the last time they cried. It's not healthy. Like, our emotions are there for a reason. They're giving us information. They're giving us information. So, if you're feeling sad, it doesn't mean you're going to be sad forever. So let yourself be sad when you're sad, and then understand sometimes it's information, and sometimes things are just sad, and you just have to be sad for a minute. And then the sadness moves on, right? If you're angry, you know, that's giving you information about something, and then you can choose how you want to deal with that anger. Is it something that, you know, you can address in a way that's productive? Or do you just need to release the anger first, not on someone, right? But release the anger in some way, shape, or form, screaming, punching it out, running it out, whatever you need to do, so that you can calm down and then address the situation in a more balanced way. Okay? But at least you got the anger out, because guess what? If you don't deal with the sadness and the anger and the shame and the resentment, it gets lodged in your body, and over time it metastasizes. And over time, that can actually cause physical issues, physical illness. And in fact, I believe that most illnesses have some correlation. If you guys know the work of Louise Hay, H-A-Y, you can heal your life, you know, have some correlation to a mental or an emotional imbalance or situation. So, for instance, you know, when my grandmother died, my mother got kidney stones. She'd never had kidney stones before, and they did not have a good relationship. Kidney stones, according to Louise Hay, represents lumps of undissolved anger. Okay? So you can correlate all these different things. I'm trying to remember other things, but like, you know, like, I mean, anxiety can be treated in lots of different ways. Obviously, you know, talk to a doctor, go to a professional, all of that. But there are things that you can do. There's like, usually when it gets to the body, it's like the body is just the symptom of some deeper issue that's going on. And so what I always like to do is try to get to whatever the issue is. Or if you just have like emotional maintenance, right? So again, it's just that like processing and moving through things as they come up, listening to them, letting them out, letting them go, letting them give you information so that then you can actually take action. Whether it's in a relationship or whether it's like a realization you have to quit your job or whether it's a realization that you've got to move because you've been suffering so long but you didn't even realize you were suffering, until all of a sudden you process it. And so you want to also like constantly be doing detox, right? So we always hear about the juice cleanses and all of that. So there's physical detox, which is important, but there's mental detox and emotional detox. So mental detox is all the digital stuff, and it's paying attention to what you allow into your consciousness, your awareness. What social media are you looking at? Who are you following? What are you watching on TV? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it angry? Is it fear-mongering? Is it really escapism? Like, what's going on? What are you feeding what's your mental diet like? Because that affects who you are. I mean, that affects you. So to sort of maybe do a scan of all your social media and all of your entertainment consumption and see if it's healthy or not. See if it's nutritious consumption or not. And also, here's the other thing is, is it numbing the pain that you don't want to feel? Right? So pretty much all addiction is numbing or distracting us from pain that we don't want to feel. And addiction, and that seems like a strong word, so take it, whatever level that you want. But it could be, obviously the heart, drugs, alcohol, things like that. But it's checking your phone 5 million times a day. It's shopping. It's being a workaholic. It's going to the gym 8 hours a day. It's food. It's sex. It could be anything. All of these things, in an imbalanced way, not good. Those are all things that are great in balance. But what are you doing to distract yourself or to numb yourself from feeling? And so that's a good way to start unclogging yourself, right? So when you start to sort of reach, you guys know the work of Brene Brown. Brene Brown, she's great. So she always says, like, well, when I go to reach for the muffin, if I go foraging for carbs, I know something's wrong. So instead of going for the food, try to understand, well, what's this feeling I'm trying to avoid by going for the food when I'm not really hungry, or when I'm going for the cigarette, or I'm going to get high or whatever. Pay attention to those things. Because look, we are what we eat, but we are what we read, we are what we watch, we are who we hang around with. Remember, we're contagious beings, we're social beings, we're interacting with each other, absorbing things. So you've got to do this constant sort of processing and detoxing. And that's the point of that, spending the time by yourself. Doing the anchors in the day, spending the time journaling, all those kinds of things. And when you listen to yourself too, it's, you can make decisions. And so some of you who are on my list know I just did this book proposal campaign for a book that I'm doing called The Smoothie Principle. And that was about listening to myself and getting far more than I expected. So when I was doing the nonprofit, I realized I started not feeling good and, just sort of like, what's wrong? And then I was like, okay, I think what's wrong is that I'm not having enough social interaction because I was working by myself and doing all these things. But also I didn't have a lot of money, so I thought, well, yeah, I know a lot of people, but to go out in New York costs a lot of money. That's really not going to help me. I don't have the money to do that, to be social. So what should I do? I think I should get a part-time job. Yeah, a part-time job. That makes sense because I'll get money and I can be social at the same time, right? So then I thought, okay, well, what is that part-time job going to be? And I had requirements for it, right? I had very, very specific requirements because I knew myself and I knew what I needed at that particular moment. And what I knew I needed was flexibility, right? Because I needed to still run my nonprofit and my events. I needed to be mindless
Because I was like, I'm thinking all day long. I want to go to a job and check my brains at the door and not have to think. I want no responsibility and I don't want to have to think. And I wanted it to be a beautiful environment. I'm very affected by aesthetics, and so I was like, it just has to be a beautiful environment. So I'm going to go somewhere, if I'm going to take my time to do this thing, I want it to be in a nice environment. I had no idea what this job was going to be. I thought maybe like one of those nice little gift shops or a card store or something like that, but I thought, well, usually in those places, it's usually one person there by themselves all day. That defeats the whole point of me being social. So fast forward, I ended up at this upscale health food place making smoothies, like literally wearing an apron, a little hat, and with my, college. This was when, after I'd been teaching for NYU, the girl's like, she's looking at my resume, she's like, this is only like $10 an hour, right? I was like, it's fine. Like, this is what I need, this is perfect. So I remember my first day, I was like rinsing out the blender, I was like, manual labor, I'm so happy. And I was there for a year and a half, and I cried when I left that job, by the way. But anyway, the whole point of that is, so I had very specific needs. The universe somehow filled them. I don't know how it happened. It's kind of magical, and I don't want to spend all the time talking about the story. But here's what else happened with that job. There were people that were regulars, so guess what? I used to talk to them, help them with their problems, aka coaching before I was a coach. B, that place donated to the nonprofit for our fundraiser. We had an event there for the organization. And guess where my first corporate speaking engagement was? At that place. Guess who's my first paid coaching client? Someone that went through that place. And to this day, there's ripple effects from that job. $10 an hour making smoothies. Because I know what I needed. And I didn't care what anybody thought. Okay? So stay tuned. When you're on my mailing list, you'll see when the book comes out at some point. And you can buy the book. But this is the thing that I think is so important, is that, again, because of technology, social media, and our conditioning as a society, and because people that don't want you to listen to yourself, right? They want you to listen to them and buy what they want you to buy and vote for what they want you to vote for, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So listening to yourself is not only like a nice thing to do, but it's really becoming critical. It's really becoming critical. So, again, taking responsibility to learn how to do that. It's most people don't do it. They don't know how to do it. Also doing yoga, doing something like that where you slow your body down. But if you do yoga to get this sort of effect, it's the hatha yoga, it's the restorative yoga, it's the yin yoga. It's not like the power yoga, okay? That's not going to help you with this. So, obvious, right? But we have to be reminded. We have to be reminded. So, because here's the thing. If you're not able to do all of these things,
Just read what it says.
oh, sorry, it says to be kind and compassionate. To be kind and compassionate. It's just essential, right? Because, and also, this is going to be really hard if you don't do this. And if you don't do this. Because you want to be able to have space for someone, to see another person, to be accepting of them, to have empathy for them. And if you can't have empathy or compassion for yourself and have those feelings, even know what they feel like, because you're all like clogged up, you're not going to be able to do that for anybody else. And this is really the key to communication, right? You want to be empathetic and sensitive to another person and to understand them and give them benefit of doubt. And that's what active listening is about. So like really being present. Right? So being present. And not listening just with your ears, but you listen with your body. Because we communicate, whatever the percentage is. It's only like 10% words. Everything else is like body language and your energy. And you can really just be present for someone. And that's one of the greatest gifts that you can give someone, is your time, your attention, your presence. when someone's done that for you and how that made you feel and how special and how rare it is. When someone's really present with you, really just there for you, listening to you, really, creating a space for you. Very powerful. Very, very powerful. And, there's that saying, be kind, everyone's fighting a hard battle. Because remember what we were talking about before, sort of, stay in your own lane and don't compare and all this kind of stuff. It's like, you don't know what kind of day that person had to cause them to be kind of nasty, or what kind of life they've had. And again, we all have to take responsibility for making the world a little bit better, a little bit kinder, a little bit more compassionate. And remember, we bring our energy wherever we are. You can be a peacemaker, you can be a troublemaker. Right? It's an opportunity for you. An opportunity for you. So, but I'm telling you, this is really hard if you don't do this other stuff. Right? So it's really important. I'm just going to sort of mosey on through here. Okay, so 6. Go with the flow. So, I know it sounds like a kind of a cliche thing, but going with the flow, what I mean by that is when you know yourself, when you're listening to yourself, you take responsibility, it's about navigating, right? Navigating, know when the right time to assert yourself, know when the right time is to step back, know when the right time is to take action, know when the right time is to coast. There's an ebb and a flow to life, to things. And sometimes you gotta push and you gotta know when it's a push time, and sometimes, why bang your head against the wall? Like, it's stupid, it's a waste of your energy. So again, the more you can get in your body, right? Be present, feel your feelings, get in touch with your thoughts or feelings. You'll have a better sense of how to sort of surf through situations and life in general. And it's really, and it's also even just something more concrete is like knowing what your best times of day are, right? I'm much better at night. I am like, 1 in the morning, 11 p.m. to 1 in the morning. I'm like sharp, I'm awake, I can get lots of stuff done. 7 in the morning, oh no, not good for me. So as much as you can, create your lifestyle around your own patterns and your own energy. Like maximize, again, what works for you. Where you can. You can't always do it. But that's about knowing yourself. Know your energies. When are your best energy times? Or maybe, in your work or something, maybe that there's a certain busy time, and so, you can't really schedule a lot of social stuff during that time. Well, then don't do it. Don't try to, kill yourself, right? So just make sure that you're, again, it's the self-awareness. It's a self-awareness, and it's, the more you become self-aware, the more you can listen to yourself, the more you're in your body, you can sense things, and you can let go of things easier if they're not working out. And it's like, you know what, obviously this is just not going to work out, and I'm going to trust, and trust is the big thing too. I'm going to trust myself, I'm going to trust whatever the vibe's going on here, I'm going to trust whatever the situation is just not meant to be. And again, instead of making yourself more frustrated and getting all the freaking stress hormones and adrenaline going because you're trying to accomplish something that's just not happening, sometimes you just gotta let it go. You just go with the flow. And just trust it. Just trust it. There are cycles to things, there are rhythms to things. It's not always go, 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 go. There's times for go, 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 and there's times for rest. Times for rest. And relaxation. And I find that a lot of the people that I work with have a really hard time with rest and relaxation. I think it's again, symptom of the society we live in and then the micro society of New York City that we live in, right? Everything's like go, 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 and you have to be productive and doing things all the time. It's like, you know what? No. And actually, I sort of went ahead myself there. But having faith and trust in the process, faith in yourself, because the stronger you are internally, the stronger that sort of self-trust muscle is, and you can just sort of go with the flow and trust that whatever's happening, that's kind of what's supposed to happen. You know, this is a hard one to kind of grasp, but as you start practicing these other things, it should. And there's a concept called Wu Wei. Do you know that concept, Wu Wei? You might want to read about that. Wu Wei in Taoism. You can Google Wu Wei. Maybe that'll explain it a little bit better for you. It's basically, it's also the art of doing nothing. So sometimes doing nothing is that, it's like, there's an ease and a flow by getting into sort of this state that things should be effortless. So even though I know that I said things are hard work, but it's like this balance of like this effort and then allowing. And in the allowing, that's where the ease comes. Does that make sense? These are sort of hard concepts to explain. But I'll just plant that seed and you can discover that. So, okay. So 7. Learn from your past. So we talked a little bit about this before, about noticing patterns, right? Einstein says, what's the definition of insanity? That's right, doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. So what's going on in your life that you're doing that it's like, whew, you know what? I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to finally learn the lesson. So that's kind of what I was saying before, is like, you know, things, the external things that are happening, and if they're similar, you know, what's the saying, like same boyfriend, different clothes, right? Same boss, different jobs, right? There's a pattern. There's a pattern. Until you learn the lesson, that pattern's just going to keep showing up. It just keeps showing up. So what's the pattern? What's the lesson that you need to learn? And that goes back to sort of being the observer. So the more that you can watch your life and see, oh, that's really interesting. This is actually kind of similar to this other thing that happened to me. Because you're paying attention now. And then maybe you can see the pattern. And it takes, you know, it takes maturity. And I think that we're a society that likes to kind of stay kind of infantile, you know, mature. But it takes this maturity to kind of be like, oh yeah, okay, I need to sort of step out of this cycle and grow and evolve and be a better person, or however you want to state that. Yeah, so that's a really, really important one. And then 8, which I kind of touched on before. This is really important. Because again, if you're going, there's no room for anything to get in. There's no room for any inspiration, for your aha moments, for creativity, because you're just so going. So, and you know, they say, like, you know, when do people get the best ideas? When they're like playing golf, or when, you know, you just lay down and take like a little like doze off or something, and you wake up with the answer. Right? It's because there's an ebb and a flow. So you need to put the effort in, you need to put the intention in, and then let it go. And then you let it go, and you see what comes up. And if you're listening to yourself, if you're paying attention, then you can recognize it when it comes. Then you're receptive. Right? So you want to be receptive to these things. And like I was saying before, like I work with a lot of people that have a really hard time resting and relaxing because they want to be productive. They think, oh my God, I have to be productive. I have to check things off my to-do list. Makes me crazy, okay? Because yes, you need to do that, but there is a time for rest. And rest and relaxation is productive. For the reasons that I just stated about that's when the healing, the idea, the creativity, those kinds of things happen. So you need to give yourself the space to rest and relax. That's when your body repairs itself. Right? That's when you get your insights to things. That's when you can laugh and have fun, and you need to release those chemicals. You need to laugh and have fun. It's really important. And it physically, improves your immune system. It will prevent you from getting sick. So if you forget about all the woo stuff, you just be healthier physically, okay? It's for your immune system. It's so important. So important. And people seem to have, you would think, oh, everybody wants to do this. But it's actually quite challenging for many people. So I give you all permission in here to have fun and to rest. And especially, I know it's hard if you're in career transition. You think, oh, I'm not working now. I'm just going to punish myself and put myself into unemployment jail or something. Okay? No, because think about how that compounds, because then that's like this self-negative thing, right? And then you're not getting the jobs, and then your energy that's going out to get the jobs is bringing back sort of this down energy, whatever. And then maybe you're fortunate enough to get an interview. You want to be good when you go to the interview. You want to have energy. You want to be well balanced and healthy in mind, body, and spirit, so that when you go to the interview, you have enthusiasm and you feel good. You don't want to be like this, yeah, I've just been beating myself up for 3 months and it's not working. I'm just trying to find a job 8 hours a day. No. Give yourself some time. This is your time to sort of refresh and let that energy help you and revive you. And then that will make you a better candidate. Okay? And then last but not least, be grateful. Okay? So just, give thanks wherever you're at. You just have to trust that's exactly where you're supposed to be. And to be thankful for it. Even the horrible, whatever you deem to be a horrible situation, find the gratitude. Find the gratitude in it. I work with lots of people that, they hate their job, they're bored to tears, but after we talk, I'm like, thank God for that job. That job is providing you structure, it's giving you an income, and guess what? It's not sucking the life out of you, which means you can use that time and energy now to go work on what you really want to work on. So it's all perspective. Nothing changed. It's still the same job, but it's your attitude towards it. It's your perspective towards it. It's your understanding of how it's playing a role in your life and being grateful for that. Right? So it's really important to give thanks, and then also just, I'm sure you've all heard of gratitude practice. Gratitude, 3 things every day that you're thankful for. And it can be the smallest things. It can be I can breathe through my nose today. It could be oh my God, I had this delicious salad today. Oh my God, thank God for the farmer. I do a practice when I eat. And it's like a split second, but it's intentional. It's become a habit. It's I can't eat anything without having some gratitude, right? So I'm grateful, for the earth, for the people that grew it, for the people that distribute it, for the people that cooked it, for my money that I could buy it, for my ability to put it together and cook it. All of that can come in one thought of gratitude. Again, that helps you get present, that puts you connected to yourself, and they've done, look at the science, there's a gazillion things about the benefits of gratitude. But it's because there are lots of things to be grateful for. So again, it's what you focus on grows. Right? That's what gets magnified. So wouldn't you rather magnify positive things, positive thoughts, positive attitudes? What you magnify grows. So, and to really see the glass half full, it's all about your attitude. And what you put out really comes back to you. So, and to also understand, like we mentioned before, that your problems really are your opportunities to grow. So all of you that are in career transition right now, this is an opportunity. I know it's kind of sucky. It might not feel good. It might be, not so fun. But now you got some information. You're going to turn it all around. And you're going to see this as an opportunity. It's an opportunity to grow, and to get yourself on a better track, and more aligned with who you are, and more happier, peaceful, fulfilled internally. And then the external things will happen. So, yeah, and I mean, everybody put your hand on your heart for a second, and on your gut. And just like feeling, taking a breath, and like feel your heartbeat. You know, you're not even aware that your heart is beating. I think we forget that. So your heart's beating. Thank you, heart. Thank you. Let's just do that. We're alive. We're alive, and we're alive at a really amazing time to grow yourselves as a human, you know, and to really make a positive impact on the world that we live in. So, I just want to leave you with that, I think, and all of these things, and I'll just sort of leave you with a little bit more kumbaya, is like, you know, just getting in touch with that heartbeat, you know, that's the power of love, you know, and I know this sounds very sort of kumbaya-ish, but it's like, this is what, it's so powerful that kind of love for yourself, love for your life, love for your work, love for the people in your life, I mean, it's so powerful. It's so powerful, and that's how the world is going to change, not because of any law, you know, or anything else. So, I'm just going to give you these. So also before you leave, I just want to remind you, I have a little present for you, and I want to remind you to make sure whoever came in late to sign up to be on my mailing list. I do have group coaching next week, on Tuesday. I do that once a month generally. So if you want some help figuring any of this stuff out, who are you, what are you supposed to be doing with your life, and your job search, or just work-life balance, you can do that. You can do group coaching. I also work with individuals, obviously. You should have a little half sheet that has a discount and some information on it. So if you book within 10 days, I'm happy to give you a discount on the individual coaching. And last but not least, I have a present for you. So whatever you want to remember today, it could be one specific thing or a couple of things. Oh yeah, those are the discounts. Oh, that's for the group coaching. Okay. That's for the group. And the best thing is to be on a mailing list and do that. And you'll find that. And you can talk to me after. But I want to just give you something, like something tangible, like actual tangible, so that when you leave here, you remember the one thing that you need to remember. So maybe it's like, which out of, you know, the 1 through 9, which is the thing that you really want to focus on. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just to breathe, whatever it is. But I have these little pieces of money here, because if you do what you love and you be who you are, and money will follow, and prosperity will follow, and success will follow, whatever that definition of success is for you. So thank you for being here. Take one, pass it around. I've got some, oh yeah, and then also there's my book here. There's information, articles that I've written are about me. And I will be back here, I think, May 1st as well, but here, you can take one, pass it around. But I think that the best thing to do is be on my mailing list. And so, thank you again for your time and your energy, and I'm excited for you guys to all go out and make your lives the best that they could possibly be, and I'm here to support and help you in any way that I possibly can. So thank you again, and have a great night. So help me here, you can mull around until they kick us out, basically. We'll be in a few minutes. So yeah, whatever you need to, you know, however you want to like use that little piece of money.
Of that. That's even easier. No, this is easier. It's all in one place. Mine's like 16.
And I think this will be on their Facebook, the Science and Business Library on the Facebook page. Hi. So,
Here we go. There we go.
because you can see this talk. Yeah.
There you go. There. You can read that.
Yeah.
Perfect. But if you need notes, of course, like notes, then I can totally send that. Stepping stones or something like that. I forget the word. Stepping stones.
access stones. She'll probably figure out who wrote it anyway.
That's something that I can help with as a coach. You're right, you're right. Oh, okay.
Well, it says here, she almost.
Gonna do these too.
That's okay. Yeah.
Maybe we'll do one for the library too.
Or this, and I don't know what that entails. It's like, did you sign, huh? No, could you sign? Yeah. Did you sign? Everybody signed? Okay. Everybody signed the clipboard?
I guess so.
Just leave it.
I guess
Did you get the clipboard?
I don't see it.
Oh, it's up here. If you want to be on the library, it's up here.
Oh, that one?
But yeah, my purple thing.
Anyway, so use this as my packet. And then you can get that book. You know that book that she put from? I got that book. And she gets your you probably get it in the library, but I recommend you get that book just so you can on your own. And then when you're and you never know.
So, maybe we can take it up and get a job.
Or maybe the market. That's what I thought. I did, yes. I don't think any friend got it. I mean, you know, this is what I do. I'm great at taking people's ideas. Anyway, I'm going to I think the M is still.
Eddie Benjamin's in there?
Oh, I'm sure it is. Why wouldn't it be?
No $100 Who's on the $100? Oh, it's Benjamin. It's Benjamin. He's my favorite. It's not even.
You can have, think about it this way, you can have one $100
You got a Benjamin? I got a Benjamin.
Hey, you can have one $100 bill, $1,000 $5.
He's my favorite fun time. He's my boy.
So I think, you know, I just
He's my boy.
Just look, you can have one $100 bill, you can have $5 million and $5.
Phosphorus, right? I was at Hamilton.
Oh, really?
The stories are upset. They said there's all these stories. But he's not as progressive. Lunch for now?
Or maybe another French cake. Or French.
No, like, there was a story of where we won't get a use. But Brazil announced it.